So Terry, I decided on the season finale next week. We're shaving our heads like Heisenberg. I think that's where we need to go. It's a good look.
Maybe we should just have Todd on.
It's a better idea. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Almost SideShow. My name is Adam, and I'm doing a different intro. I'm doing the wrong intro for the show. In back, I was doing daily notes. This is not daily notes. This is the SideShow.
Oh boy, we might need to cut this out.
We will. I'm sick, so I'm getting over sickness. So I'm drinking good old ginger ale, like good old Walt Senior was drinking in the episode. So cheers. So anyway,
I am not. So.
Good man. This is the SideShow where we're talking about Breaking Bad, where we're breaking down the Breaking Badness.
Down a Breaking Bad.
Today is season 1, episode 6 breaks down of Crazy Handful of Nothin, which is a great tie-in. I love the tie-in to the title here. Really excited to dive into this episode because a lot happened, and I have no recollection of this episode whatsoever.
That's one of the things I was wondering about is where were we at and what you remember.
I for sure thought this was their. I don't know why. Maybe I'm not even thinking of this the right show. I remember them breaking into something, and I thought this was the episode. Was way wrong. I did not know he went bald in this first season. So, without further ado, I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Heisenberg Light. Terry, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Those redheads.
Yeah, he's not a redhead in this, but this is the debut of Heisenberg, so I had to wear my Heisenberg t-shirt. So there you go.
There it is.
Heisenberg right there. And you see the background there is the RV out in the desert. It's a beautiful shirt. I was wondering when to wear it. I think that the debut of Heisenberg is when it needed to be worn. So I've got it on today.
Well, I do know there's a fast food chain of restaurants in this show coming up at some point. So I wore my White Castle completely by accident.
Completely by accident.
So anyway,
you know more about later on in this show than you do about the stuff you've actually watched already.
Oh yeah, because it's Giancarlo Esposito. That's why. So anyway,
a little while before we get to him.
Where we are at is now, and that is season 1, episode 6, Crazy Handful of Nothin. Really liked this episode from start to finish. Like I said, did not remember anything from my first watch, because this first season I have watched once, believe it or not, but I've never seen anything, and you've seen the entire show in its entirety a couple times. So I think we should just jump right into it and break it down right now.
Yep, let's do it. Here we go. Here's our summary of season 1, episode 6 of Breaking Bad, entitled Crazy Handful of Nothin. Here we go. Walt and Jesse are back in the RV, back in the desert, back to cooking. When he's not cooking, Walt is getting chemo, which Jesse figures out and shows off his knowledge of cancer, while also trying to teach through the sickness. He is down with the sickness.
Oh, I'm so yes.
He is. And also thanks Hugo for cleaning up. Skyler still thinks Elliot is paying for the treatment, while Walt writes checks his bank account can't cash. But Skyler is also concerned because Walt has been so absent from home. In the meantime, Hank discovers the gas mask found in the desert came from Walt's high school chemistry lab. While checking in with Walt and telling him Crazy 8 was a snitch, great moment by the way, he also sees that Walt is missing a lot of supplies from his lab, particularly the supplies used to make meth. Investigating who could have raided his lab, they discover the custodian has a drug history and was in possession of pot. So he takes the fall, and they arrest Mr. Archuleta. Thanks, Hugo. While Walt sweats Hank's investigation, Jesse is slinging crystal all night, but nowhere near as fast as Walt needs to pay for his treatment. So they look for a distributor to buy their product in bulk. Filling the hole left from Crazy 8 is Tuco, a wild, meth-snorting, egotistical hothead you don't want to mess with. Jesse gets introduced to Tuco through Skinny Pete.
Yo.
Yo, man, I'm Skinny Pete. He's impressed by the product, but doesn't want to pay up front. When Jesse pushes the issue, Tuco beats him with his own money. Walt, with his newly shaved head, finds out what happened to Jesse and plans a way to go toe-to-toe with Tuco. He brings some meth-looking explosives to the meet with him, demands his money, and gets it after showing the power of what he can do. Walt and Tuco make a business deal moving forward for £2 next week, and Heisenberg is born.
Yeah, so you went with the disturbed route of Down with the Sickness. I was thinking the boys are back in town, or the boys are back, or the kids are back. I don't know. I had a joke there with the song with them back to cooking. The boys are back in town. That's what I was
Boys are back in town.
Yeah. Or that opening of like what it's like the kids are back or something. I don't know, whatever. Not as funny anymore because I had to explain it. But so
My philosophy is if a joke doesn't land, you just keep explaining it over and over again until someone starts laughing. Because it's bound to happen at some point.
So you and I went to the same school of comedy.
It's called the Dad School.
Yeah. I'm 9 years in. 9 years of experience there.
Yeah. It also helps when you teach middle schoolers. Anyways, let's get back to Breaking Bad.
Breakdown of Breaking Bad.
Good call.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do. So, Adam, you said you don't remember anything about this episode.
No.
But what did you think about this episode?
It was good.
It was good.
Moving on. It was good.
There is a lot that happens in this episode.
A lot of moving on. Okay, so thinking about this is that the thallumated mercury, right? Is that's what it is?
Yeah, I had it written down here. Fulminated.
So he was teaching that class. So he brings up the condition of rust slowly decaying over time, which is like his cancer, right?
I like the connection you're making here.
So, and then his mercury is the situation he's in currently with Heisenberg, and he is the mercury. The sudden explosion in his life is this financial responsibility.
That's a great connection I hadn't thought of before, but you're absolutely right.
So that's the first thing I was like, oh, wait a second. Then they kind of kept bringing it up slowly in this episode. I picked up on. So I think that was a really good little. Well, maybe that's not even what they meant, but that's what I picked up on, and that's and it makes sense to me. So I really liked that. I think a lot of the great moments there's some good moments with Jesse, obviously with Walt as well. There's not much stuff that I didn't really care for. There's a conspiracy I mentioned off camera. We'll talk about here as well. But yeah, a really awesome episode. I think Hank showing his knowledge of Flask kind of surprised Walt, and with one of my favorite sequences as well of a very odd choice of family game night was blackjack or
that was Texas Hold'em. That was totally Texas Hold'em.
Yeah, I said blackjack. I'm not a dummy. It's Texas Hold'em. So I thought that was funny, but it makes sense because it's the title, and you can learn a lot from a person from reading them, I guess, in Texas Hold'em. So there's a lot of stuff to really like about this episode for sure. Probably one of my favorites this season. Oh,
I'm here.
okay.
I just was gone for a second there.
Okay.
Yeah, this episode, so much happens. Like it starts out with that, with them just walking back into the RV, mixed with the shots of him bald walking from a burning building with a bag of money in his hand. And
So,
you go,
real quick,
what the hell happened in this episode?
Yeah, so that's one thing. I swore I saw Hank in the beginning shot because there was another. I thought it was another bald guy like looking up or something like that. And then they show, Heisenberg, but it was turned out to be completely different. But maybe I just saw that. Maybe I need to rewatch it again. But that's what I honestly thought I saw Hank in that last shot, or in that first shot. So never
Like
mind.
Roger Clemens, I think you misremembered.
Misremembered. Yeah,
That is an old reference, but I'm going with it.
I did not. Okay. Anyway.
But yeah, there. Like I said, there's so much that happens in this episode. You get, like I said in the intro, you get Heisenberg for the first time. You see what lengths Walt is truly willing to go to make this happen and to do what's right. Because the episode starts out and he's like, I am the silent partner. I'm the cook. You handle all the other stuff. And then by the end of the episode, he's blowing up a drug dealer's hideout. I mean, what the places this episode goes
Mhm.
and the path it takes to get there. This is the episode where if you weren't impressed yet, you go, whoa, this is a wild ride
Mhm.
that we're in for.
Yeah, definitely I agree with that. I did have a question on the they blew up his hideout, Tuco's hideout, and you
Mhm.
hear the sirens coming. They better get all that money out of that safe as soon as possible, and all the other drugs out of there, because Hank's gonna find like this secret stowaway stash now. How is it gonna work in the future? Are they going to do a different location? Is it a Baskin Robbins? I don't know, but it's going to be a different kind of restaurant looking type of thing. I don't know. It's a lot of questions about the blowing up of his little Tuco's base.
Well, it can't be Baskin Robbins because Baskin Robbins always finds out.
Yeah, that is true.
So,
It's probably
yeah,
yeah, good call.
but yeah, that is an interesting point. That might be a flaw in this. Is you got all these sirens coming. It's like, they're going to a drug dealer's hideout to handle this, and I mean, what are they gonna do?
Yeah.
It's
Everybody on ground level scatters, but you never see anybody on the top layer like showing any urgency to get the heck out of that building. But
mhm.
you can clearly hear everybody like they're gonna like that base is like it's no bueno anymore. It's gonna be ground central for the drug people to come in and investigate it. So
Yeah, definitely. All right, well let's get into this a little bit, and we might have even referenced it already. What's your best scene?
oh, this is tough. I think the best scene here is Jesse and Walt discuss cancer. I
Mm,
thoroughly liked that scene because it wasn't just like Walt had this big thing at the beginning. It's like, I'm the cook, I'm the silent partner, I'm doing it, you sell, blah 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 blah. Blah. And then he reveals like he has cancer, and you know Jesse gives the tip about what his aunt went through, and about the ice pack in the head. And Walt's like, you know what, you go finish it up. You know what you're doing. Go finish it up. You're the cook or whatever. And kind of has to be vulnerable in that moment. I think that's kind of an understanding of the two sides of people. There's more to Pinkman than what Walt thinks, and there's more to Walt than what Jesse thinks about each other. So they're kind of coming to middle ground, and obviously Walt has some feelings towards Jesse because he wouldn't become Heisenberg near the end as well. So I really like that sequence. Probably not one of the best there's probably a bigger, better scene. Obviously, probably that ending sequence, but that's one that I was like really liked a lot. So I wanted to shout it out.
yeah, it might be the first time that Walt can look at Jesse and be impressed and have respect for him because like he knows what stage 3A means of
Oh,
cancer.
it's in the
Like,
lymph
oh,
node.
it's gone to your lymph nodes. He's like, whoa,
Oh,
you
whoa.
know something here, and you're teaching me something. Like this is gonna help you. This is
Mm-hmm.
how long did she last? She didn't last long. There's a lot that goes on in that scene.
He does
That
have that kind of.
he's still Jesse, but he's impressing him, and I don't think if that whole exchange had gone differently, I don't think there's any way Walt says, you go finish the batch.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, you know what? You're more than I've been thinking you are in that moment. And so he sends him in to do that. That's a great call.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a few others that you can go with here. I'm gonna go with the poker game because it's something. It happens a couple times in this episode, but most of the time it's lighthearted. At this point, you have that toe to toe between Walt and Hank, where only one of the sides realizes they're going toe to toe, and that's what makes it so good. Hank has no idea what's going on with Walt. But Walt is fully aware of how close he is to having an issue here with his brother-in-law being a DEA agent.
Mm-hmm.
So you have it's this scene with the poker game, but you also have the scene in his classroom too, where Hank even looks at him and is like, maybe I need to start worrying about you. and and you can tell Walt's just like, oh,
No.
but it's when he realizes he's that close, and then you cut to the poker game, and you see that Walt can bluff, and Walt kind of has Hank's number, and he surprises Hank, but Hank doesn't realize that yet. Like he even says at one point, "What is it? You wouldn't
No.
recognize a criminal." Oh, it was another horrible line that he has. Um, what is it? You wouldn't know a criminal if he was close enough to check you for a hernia.
Yeah. Cluck, 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 cluck.
Yeah. Um, because he says Hugo doesn't strike him as a thief,
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. It's like, well, I am the criminal now, but and then he bluffs him out of it with a handful of nothing. But at the end, he doesn't have a handful of nothing. So I mean, it's just
Oh, it's also kind of perfect too.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he when he's called on his bluff, he has something that can pay off because that's what he was doing with Tuco, which
Mm-hmm.
is the other scene I had written down too. Was the ending because
Yeah.
he goes, it's the same thing. I mean, it's a poker game, and Tuco's calling his bluff, and he's packing a punch. He's got the winning hand in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
and he's able to pay it off, win Tuco's respect, and get what he wants out of the deal too. So there's a lot of mano a mano moments with Walt in this, and but I love those moments where Hank is talking business with him, and he's that close to getting caught, but Hank is just blind to it, and he never sees it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great moment here where you start to see some of that happen.
Agreed. Yeah, I really like that stuff, and that it's gonna be fascinating to see how more intense and more closely back and forth they go in the future. Because I can only imagine that's where it's gonna be headed at some point.
Oh, there's only one way that can go, and that's just to scale up the intensity of whatever's happening between the two of them for sure.
Yeah.
All right, the Ken Wins douchebag award goes to.
Tuco.
I mean,
Yeah, if it's not Ken Wins, it's probably the Tuco Award at this moment. Like the guy, yeah, he, whoa, wow, yeah, he was on something right there. Yeah, obviously the good crystal, but
that
yeah,
was another great line. Where did it go here? That kicks like a mule with his balls wrapped in duct tape.
okay, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a douchebag line right there. There's a lot, dude. Like every character who's on drugs in this show has to have a dumb line. Like it's great. A lot of dumb stuff said, but yeah, Tuco easy choice for the douchebag for this episode.
That is a good call. It's the obvious one. I'm gonna go with, yo man, I'm Skinny Pete.
It's a good one too.
He's oh, I love Skinny Pete, and this is a great Skinny Pete moment. And even when he's sitting bedside while Jesse's unconscious and Walt shows up, and he's like, Tuco just went. I was like, yo, back off, SA. And it's like just and you could tell like that might be one of the dumber things said in the episode because you can tell Walt is like, just close your mouth, please. But then again, he tells him everything he knows about Tuco, and this episode doesn't happen if it's not for Skinny Pete either, because he's the one that's able to make the introduction between Jesse and Walt and Tuco.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, Skinny
True.
Pete, the douchiest line of the episode is, "Yo, man, I'm Skinny Pete."
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
pretty
like they're
big.
supposed to care.
And he has to go. You have to go.
Yeah, just give the to the camera.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Good call.
All right, Pink Man, Stick Man.
It probably could go to Tuco because he does have that knife that he points out as a stick to do a drag off of it. Didn't write anything down for this one.
The one I came up with was Dennis Kiefer as the lookout outside of Tuco's place, because I don't know, Tuco's a madman, but I kind of had respect for the lookout who, they walk up and is just completely just stone-faced, unemotional, whether it's Walt and Skinny Pete or Jesse and Skinny Pete, or it's Heisenberg coming up. He's just dead faced and just is staring him down, and I'm like, dude,
Mhm.
this guy's got something here. This guy's got
daggers.
mad props to the lookout, man. Yeah,
That's a good.
I wouldn't have him being the one outside. I'd have him sitting next to me. But yeah,
good call.
that's my Pink Man. All right,
Mhm.
best new face. I've got Tuco, because I
Yeah.
mean, what beats Tuco in this? He is.
True.
I mean, who would have thought, getting rid of Crazy 8, if Walt thought getting rid of Crazy 8 was going to produce Tuco, yeah, he probably still would have killed Crazy 8. Especially knowing now that he's a snitch, which is another great moment when he hears what snitch, and and goes, yeah, a confidential informant. It's like you don't know what a snitch is? What's wrong with you, Walt?
Yeah.
But yeah, and so you just see the wheels turning in Walt's head there. But yeah, Tuco, out of this world. Like talk about, like, on the deep dives, we talk about someone who's in a different planet. Tuco is literally on a different planet when he
Get
shows
him
up
on
here.
drugs. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, insane. Yeah, great call there. My new face. I got Hugo because I think we have to mention him at least once.
Thanks, Hugo.
Thanks, Hugo. Yeah, I think he brings up the bubble gum. He cleans up the mess. Hey, don't worry about Mr. White. You got kids to teach, or students to teach. I think that was just like a good, like, caring character. Probably one of the more genuinely, good characters. And unfortunately, the state of New Mexico hadn't passed a law to keep you out of prison because you had a blunt in your your truck.
Definitely an outdated part of the episode.
Yeah, because you would not be going to prison for that. So
not anymore.
But anyway,
yeah. And I've always loved how Walter Jr. says the name Archuleta. I don't know why, but it was one of the most memorable moments of this entire season. Is when they're walking up. Why is Uncle Hank arresting Mr. Archuleta? I mean, it just the emphasis he gives to the name, I always found interesting. Plus, this big Mexican guy named Hugo, you don't expect his last name to be Archuleta. So it's also a little different there too. But
I think the last name Reyes would have been fitting, but then you'd be like, that's the guy from Lost. Hugo Reyes is from Lost. And that is why I knew the guy's name was Hugo before they even said it, because, of course, when you have a show around this time frame, you have to have a chunky guy named Hugo, and that's a flaw.
A larger Latino man His
named
name has to be Hugo.
Hugo. This one just had a bad dealing with having a blunt. The other one in Lost had bad lotto numbers, which he actually won. Anyway, that's a different show.
That is a different show. Never seen an episode of Lost. So
let's talk about this good show here.
yeah.
Instead.
Well, all right. Favorite minor character. I've got Hugo down.
Yeah.
Thanks, Hugo. Like I said in the summary too. He says thanks, Hugo, but if it's not for Hugo having a blunt in his truck, that investigation continues in a very different way. And he can thank Hugo for taking some heat for him and
True.
taking the fall for him. Even though they didn't find any meth, but you can tell like they've got their fall guy, so they can kind of move on.
Yeah, kind of move on to it. I put Jesse's aunt.
Oh,
because it kind of brought this little like extra layer to the character of Jesse a little bit, and brought that connection with Walt a little bit too, and kind of tied into those little moments that I talked about earlier with Jesse and Walt, and talking about the cancer too. So obviously it was something that that character was pretty impactful to Jesse, and her passing as well. So Jesse's aunt is what I would go for the minor character of the episode.
not the last time Jesse's aunt plays an important plot point.
Ooh, there we go.
All right. The cow house. Dumbest thing said.
Okay. No more violence.
No more. This might be the first time that it's Walt who had the dumbest thing said. That's a good.
No more violence. As I had a couple here, but I'll let you go next. But yeah, I think out of all, there's some dumb things said, but I think no more violence in hindsight of the episode, from you having overlaid with violence happening with him saying no more violence. I think there's gonna be violence ahead. So I think that's the dumbest thing said in the episode.
That's a good call. So mine comes from. I mean, if you're going with a standard, you either have to go with Jesse or Hank. I'm going with Hank on this one, because Carmen the principal has an ass like an onion. Makes me want to cry.
Yeah, I wrote that one down too. Kind of a douchebag, but also a stickman line at the same time.
He's got the worst pickup lines. Oh, he keeps pulling them out too. But that one is just.
Are you saying that her ass is like an ogre? They have layers. Anyway, I crawled out of a microwave. I can't remember exactly the whole reference, but yeah, crawled out of a microwave.
That was after the. It was after Walt almost passed out cooking the batch, and he comes out and
so yeah, you look like
you can be able to finish the batch. And he goes, I don't know. I was like, well, you're the one that looks like you just crawled out of a microwave.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they had to go to Tuco's place, he asked Skinny Pete, he's like, is this guy legit? He's like, got 2 nuts in a ball sack, yo. That's like, wait, what? That didn't even answer the question. Like, it's pretty dumb.
But he's got respect for their cook, because that crystal sold faster than $10 ass in TJ. So
yeah, that is true.
It's another great line. I mean, it's just,
there is so many dumb things said, but it's fitting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you add Tuco to the mix, an episode where Skinny Pete plays a prominent role. I mean, there are so many, but none of them are like that exasperate Walt level, because Walt is in the middle of it, like Cow House. Yeah, I think my favorite one that is the crawled out of a microwave, because that actually, like, Walt goes, touche. Like, that's the look he kind of gives him in that moment. It's like you got a point there.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's getting radiated every week now. So, all right, we talked a little bit about outdated with with the marijuana possession.
Yep.
And the funny thing with that too is, like, he's getting busted for marijuana, even though, like, Walt has admitted to the family that he smokes pot on the side, but he's not getting busted for it. So,
Hey, do as I say, not as I do. Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Midlife crisis moment.
Enjoying walks, nature, shrubbery, foliage,
Cacti.
cacti.
Vegetation.
I just need to go by myself and just enjoy walks. Apparently, you just walk. It's like
Sure.
jogging with a soft J.
Just run for extended periods of time. Yeah, that's a great call. I love going on runs,
Hmm.
just because I enjoy the loneliness.
Enjoy the loneliness.
Enjoy- Mine is making questionable decisions while staring in a mirror, like when Walt shaves his head.
That's
Like
a good call.
I've had, there was one time where I was staring in the mirror. You know what? I'm gonna shave the goatee today.
Oh God.
And my wife looked at me as soon as I was done and said, "Nope, never again."
Never again.
Like
Never again.
that was a questionable decision.
Yeah, I
So
don't need a 12-year-old at the house.
yeah.
Not again.
But yeah, in the bathroom, staring in the mirror,
So I'm
nothing
staring at the
nothing
man
good.
in the
There
mirror.
there was an old line from How I Met Your Mother that said nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m.
Oh yeah.
Nothing good ever happens when a man is looking in the mirror in a bathroom. It's something stupid is about to happen. So,
It's a good power rankings actually.
well, number one would be definitely Edward Norton in 25th Hour. So,
Yeah, followed by Nightcrawler and Jake Gyllenhaal.
exactly. I'm sure
Anyway,
you could come up with someone punching a mirror. There's all sorts of stuff.
yeah.
Liar, liar.
Ooh, I'm kicking my ass.
Do you mind? Yeah. All right. LVP,
Oh, I also
MVP. Oh
shaving your
yeah.
head. Shaving your head also. You just mentioned that. Never mind.
Yep. LVP of the episode.
The New Mexico School Board for hiring not catching this. How did this fall through the cracks? Skylar's perplexed. How did they fall? How did that fall through background checks?
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
he's a custodian, so but I don't
it's
know.
not as thorough, but you were that's always a question when you, especially when people are around kids. How does that fall through the cracks? So yeah, that would be my LVP for this. I don't know. That's it seemed to make sense. But even though I liked Hugo as a character, though, I don't think Hugo's a bad guy.
Hugo is a great character.
Mhm.
Great character. LVP is I've got, it's kind of an LVP but kind of an MVP too. I've got Walt's criminal abilities. Um LVP in that you don't think anyone would have noticed that you stole half of the glassware from your chemistry lab? I mean, you keep an inventory. No one's get, just change the numbers on the inventory, dude. This whole thing
Well,
gets,
the freaking like tag that says the school's name on the mask.
well, so the other thing, my other LVP was going to be Sharpies in general because it was faded enough that they had to send it to the lab to get tested to find the old writing on it. So,
Mm, good
yeah,
call.
Walt's criminal abilities. Come on. Just change the numbers on the inventory. It's not that hard. No one's going to question you. Just fix it. But at the same time, he blows up Tuco's place. So, like, that was about as clutch as you could possibly get.
Mhm.
Busting out a trick like that, which leads to my MVP, which is fulminated mercury
Yeah, that's
and
what I have as well. Yeah,
a little tweak of chemistry.
a little
But
tweak.
also chemistry class. Like this is like the second time where chemistry class like sparks his imagination to do something and
Mhm.
to make something happen that pays off later on. So not only do you get the metaphors for what's going on in Walt's life, which I love that connection you made, but also it's like, ooh, yeah, fulminated mercury.
Mhm.
I could blow up his place with that, and I can make it look like math. It's best of both worlds.
The best of both worlds. We heat up the ice cubes. Uh, I'll go back. My LVP actually probably be chemotherapy because my friend has been going through that. Not anymore. He's clear of everything. He's done with
Good.
his treatments, which is awesome. He's a really good guy who works with our company. But yeah, he had to go through it, and you can just that stuff beats the hell out of you, and it's definitely a traumatic thing. So anybody who has to go through, I would imagine, would also consider that an LVP thing. So I can understand why he's throwing up and basically kind of feel like he's melting, popping out of a microwave. But MVP at the same time is that without those moments of weakness, the evolution of the Heisenberg has come through. So Heisenberg is the MVP here. We not Walt, but Heisenberg. So,
And there becomes a definite line drawn, and you can
Yeah.
start to see it where there's moments he's Walt,
mhm,
and there's moments he's Heisenberg.
yeah.
And as you can imagine, as he continues to break bad more and more, Heisenberg becomes more prominent, and
mhm,
Walt starts to take the back burner. It's yeah. You kind of get the darker side coming out a little more, but this is the
Nice.
first little taste you get of it.
Nice.
All right. So we're gonna get to what you think is coming up next. We've got one more episode in this season, the shortened season that we had of season 1. But just to keep everyone up to date, the Walter White body count is now 2 amigos, 1 car, 1 custodian's career, and 1 drug dealer's hideout. That is the full body count of Walter White. And I started a new tabulation as well. The Jesse ass kicked count is at 2. Because you had the first one where he kind of kicked his own ass because he fell and smacked his face on a rock in the middle of the desert and knocked himself out, and now he just got beaten down with his own money by Tuco. So the Jesse ass kick.
Yes. Yes. Good call. I like it. I like to keep those tallies running. We'll keep you up to date every single episode that changes. I like how it's just becoming really obscure obstacles. He ate 3 hamburgers this episode. That's what it's going to be
It's
like
gonna
at this point.
it's gonna feel like the 12 Days of Christmas by the by the end of this.
And a partridge in a pear tree for Walt.
Exactly.
No,
All
I
right.
like it.
Well, we got one more episode. Now, one
Mm.
thing that's kind of interesting is since it was a strike shortened season, the season finale might not necessarily feel like a season finale normally would,
Mm.
but it is going to act as one because
Mm.
there's only 7 episodes here. What do you think is coming up in this season 1 finale? Since obviously you remember nothing about what is happening right now.
Well, I don't remember anything here on this episode, so I'm assuming if I had to take a guess, there's going to be some, Jesse's going to be out now. We're going to try to cook some more drugs up here. They are going to probably meet up with some movie themed drug dealer and sell some more. I honestly have no idea where we're actually going to go here, because the one moment that I do remember may be the one episode I may have I've seen an episode in season 2. I don't know, but I clearly remember something, but then it's not what I think it is. So yeah, I don't know. Especially it's having the strike shortened season. That's the hard part.
I will tell you this. Your recollection will pay off at some point.
See, that's the weird part. I don't remember watching season 2, but that's the one. Apparently, there's an episode there that I've seen. So maybe that's me not knowing. Maybe that's an LVP moment. It's not knowing that I was watching. It's me watching the remake of Old Boy before the Old Boy movie. It's the same
There you
thing. I
go.
watched season 2 before season 1. Who knows?
You don't remember he goes bald in the first season, so.
Oh yeah, it's true. So
Well, stay tuned to find out when Adam finally sees the scene that he remembers even though he remembers nothing else that's going on. But yes, it will pay off at some point for you. That's all I will tell
Yes,
you.
I won't go feel like I'm taking crazy pills over here anymore. It'd be great. All right. Well, yeah, that fun, really good episode. A Handful of Nothing. Season one,
Crazy
episode
handful of
6.
nothing.
Crazy Handful of Nothing, which I love. Marie's. He's like, oh yeah, handful of nothing. Got him. Yeah, I
You
really
threw
like
out an ace
poker.
and a cowboy.
And a cowboy. Yeah, that was a good. Still, it's such a weird game to play poker with a family, but hey, to each their
I
own.
love it. I love it.
Todd's house. That's the game of choice right there. Playing Texas Hold'em.
Exactly.
So, all right. Thank you for bearing with me. My clustered head of sickness. Well, we're getting better, and next week will be even better because we won't be sick. We're speaking into existence now. We're looking forward to talking more Breaking Bad then. So, any last words for you, Terry?
Breakdown of Breaking Bad.
There you go. No, all I got left is sit and spin.
Later. Got an ass like an onion. So that line is
Makes me
it's
want
an
to
ass like an ogre.
cry.
It's like an ogre. I don't know why I made a Shrek reference after that. That was just it fit.